Welcome to African Living Abroad. My name is Jamhuri and I'm outside here again today on a beautiful day in a beautiful nature. Today I would like to talk about 5 lessons that I learned from the mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA, Mayor Jacob Frey, regarding the death of George Floyd and under the knee of Officer Derek Chauvin. First, Mayor Frey spoke of how he was tortured inside about the decision to come and speak and ask for the arrest of Derek Chauvin. He wrestled with that thought for so many hours. And an intuition, or our intuition, our gut feeling, is something very, very powerful. And I know about a gut feeling and intuition. It's something you wrestle with, especially when it comes to speaking the truth, opening your mouth, because the moment you open your mouth, everything is out in the open and you are vulnerable to any kind of consequence. And so I learned that our intuition is something we need to listen to. And later on, because I listened to that intuition, it paid off majorly. Second, Major Frey recognized his barriers. When he was wrestling with his intuition, he recognized that there are so many protocols that are barriers to his address of that incident. Speaking and breaking the protocols is a serious thing. Protocols on their own, they are a good thing. They guide us in dealing with different kinds of situations, and it's a good thing. But at this point, Mayor Frey had to decide whether breaking those protocols was more important to him than keeping silent. And so he took so much courage and he broke the protocols and he came and spoke about the arrest and demanded the arrest of Derek Chauvin. Third, I learned that there is no right time and right place to speak against injustice. Every time is the right time, and every place to speak justice is the right place. Fourth, speak justice for everyone. I think it was surprising, it was a really pleasant surprise to see Mayor Frey speak justice for the Black community. And there is so much power. There is power to speak against your own injustice, to speak for people in your community. But when other people speak for you, there is double power. And Mayor Frey recognized something that many of us have yet to recognize, that human life was taken. And human life is valuable. It doesn't matter what race you belong to, what kind of group you belong to. And in my eyes, that makes Mayor Frey a hero to me. And so we should speak for everyone who has been treated unjustly. Fifth, Major Frey used his position of power to speak against the injustice that was at hand. How many people do you know, or do I know, who are in a major position of power, but they cannot make a big difference because so many things are at stake for them? Losing their jobs is a number one priority, and it's understandable. We want to protect our jobs. We want security. And the moment we put ourselves out there, we are very vulnerable. And yet there are very few people who would risk their reputation, risk their jobs, risk their lives to speak against injustice, even though they're breaking protocols. And for that, I really applaud Mayor Jacob Frey for putting his heart out there and listening to his intuition. And it didn't take long. And Officer Derek Chauvin was arrested. So will many leaders follow Jacob Frey's example? I hope they will, and I know they will, because sometimes it takes only one person to stand up and others will follow. So I want to call on all of us, myself included. I have a lot to lose when I go on YouTube as well. But we need more people like that to sharpen us. And I call on all of us that we should really speak the truth at all times, wherever we are. And Mayor Frey has also ignited a light in me and a passion and fearlessness to count my cost, to count the protocols I'm breaking, and still nevertheless speak justice. And will the officers, police officers, watch their actions now going forward? Yes, I know they will, and I believe they will, and I believe that there are good police officers out there who are out, really have a passion to serve the community. But we know there are very crooked officers out there who maybe use their own personal pain and past experiences to hurt other people. And one thing I want to know is who is protecting the police officers from being brought to justice for the brutalities that they inflict on civilians, not only in the USA, but worldwide. Many police officers have a reputation of being brutal, using excessive force against humanity. Who is protecting you? And this has to stop, because the officers that were associated with Derek Chauvin are still not charged. It is not enough to suspend police officers with pay. With pay. What is that? That means they're on holiday, still getting paid? Or to fire them without pay? That is not enough. We are not fooled. If we were those officers, we would be held responsible for being associated with crime. And so who is protecting you? Who is protecting those officers? So we want justice for humanity. And that means those officers have to be brought to justice. And I really would love to see even to see that they are in prison. And we want to see pictures of them there. Because we could be fooled and we'd be told that they have been arrested, but they could be enjoying their second identity somewhere. They could be, because they have protectors in high places. So what am I saying? I am saying the world needs to change, and it is changing. There was no need for those terrible protests to happen and the destruction of property. I don't condone violence. I don't condone destruction of property. But I value life. I value every human life. And I want to say right here, I am a minority who has lived in a larger society as a visible minority for over 30 years. And I have not personally experienced racism. Maybe it's happening behind my back, but I do not pay attention to that. But I can tell you that I have enjoyed my life outside my community as a visible minority for over 30 years. And in this community too, I built bridges, cultural bridges, cross-cultural bridges. I put my heart out there to get to understand humanity. And I understand so many cultures, because that's where I thrive the most, is in a multicultural society. And I want to say, and I will talk about the topic of racism in a deeper video, in a deeper way, in a different video, because it is such an illusion that we are so different, that human beings are different because of their skin color, because of their ethnicity. You ask me, who has lived deeply in a multicultural society as a minority, visible minority, I have enjoyed every day of those 30 plus years. So I'm gonna share my insight on how we can beat racism, because I have recognized what racism is, and I do recognize it, and I know how it was given birth to, and it is a system. And so when I see people protesting, it is not a person of different colors, skin color, that we are protesting against. I love every human being on earth. I love people of every color skin. But there is a system, underlying system, that has lied to every person of every race, of every ethnicity. I call it the ladder, the ladder system. Who is at the top of the ladder, who is in the next step, who is in the middle of the ladder, and who is at the bottom of the ladder. And that is taught even in schools, even in universities. You need to study cultural anthropology. You will face it right there. And that has to be dismantled. Because when human beings start to be friends with one another, they have to ask themselves, why is there racism? Why is it there? Why are we getting along so well? And yet we've been told we are so different. So I would call myself an expert in multiculturalism. And so I will continue to build my cultural bridges, and I would like to ask you to build your own bridges, even as you deal with this very, very difficult times. And so once more, I want to say thank you to Mayor Jacob Frey for standing up for the truth, for standing up for justice, for listening to your intuition, your gut feeling, putting your job on risk, putting your life on risk. You have done the right thing. You have done the right thing, and you are a hero because you defended human life. You crossed illusional cultural barriers. You spoke right. And so God bless you. God bless you. And I call on all leaders who are in a position of authority to use your voice properly. That's why you were put out there on those seats, on that authority by the citizens, to represent them. Speak for them, and let's defeat this evil in the world. Thank you.